Hey guys, I made a Cauldron Tote bag. I wanted something festive to use when picking mini pumpkins at a pumpkin patch. You could add things to it like a floral arrangement or pumpkins and hang it as Halloween decor. First, I drew my templates. I used cotton fabric. I sewed two colors together for my inner fabric pieces. I unfolded it and sewed 1/8 of an inch from the seam. Then I cut out two cauldron pieces. I also cut out two cauldron pieces for my outer fabric. With the backsides facing out, sew the inner fabric pieces together and leave an opening at the bottom. Then cut slits around the curves. I folded the fabric by the opening so that it would be easier to hand sew later. For the two legs, I cut out 4 pieces. Sew 2 pieces together. I cut slits around the curves and turned it inside out. I ironed it and sewed 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Next, I placed the legs 6 inches apart, upside down and between 2 layers of fabric. Then sewed it. I cut slits around the curves. Then turned the outer fabric inside out. I ironed it and placed it in the inner fabric. Then aligned the seams. For the 2 straps, I cut 4 pieces. I aligned 2 strap pieces and sewed 1/4 of an inch from the sides. Then I turned it inside out. I ironed it and sewed 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I marked where the straps would go. Then I folded 1 1/4 of an inch at the ends of both straps. Insert a strap between the 2 layers of fabric and repeat this with the other side. The straps ended up being 3.5 inches apart. I sewed along the edge with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Then turned it inside out. I ironed the bag and sewed 1/8 of an inch along the top. I sewed a square with an X below each strap. Then I closed the opening with a ladder stitch. And here's how it turned out.